Hello and welcome to my channel. In this step-by-step tutorial, I'm going to cover everything you need to start editing your videos using OpenShot, a very free to use and free to share and reshare software for your video editing content creation. So without taking much of our time, let's get started. So to start with, you can come to anywhere within your browser, come to the search bar and just type in Google, and as usual you can come and just search for OpenShot. Okay, just like so. You can hit on enter and it's going to bring you over to this platform. It's a free, open and award-winning software. Open source is an award-winning free and open source video editor for Linux, Mac and Windows. You can create videos with exciting video effects, titles and effects and so on. You can see many more features from here. So the first option, or you can just click on it, or you can come to openshot.org directly and it is going to bring you over to this very platform. Okay, so you can go through to just have an idea into what is expected, what are some of the features. We've talked about some of them, but then you can just try to check around and see what. There's even a tutorial here if you want to have an idea into what to expect in the entire thing. Okay, but you can see right now it is available for all of these, and to download you can just come down here. You can see it is available for Windows, Mac, Linux and even Chrome operating system. So you can come all the way to down here to this download, and it's going to recognize that you're using Mac operating system and it's going to give you the Mac version of this. Alternatively, you can come over to this download and you can click on it and it's going to take you over to this very platform. It's the same way whether you click from the other side or this, it's going to bring you over to this platform. Now you have the option to download for Linux, for Chrome operating system, as well as the Mac operating system. This for Windows, and you can select on anyone. Okay, but if you go with this, it's going to automatically give you the version of the operating system you are currently working on, which in my own case it is Mac operating system. So I can just go ahead and click for Mac, and you can see right now it has selected. This is version 3.1.1 like we've explained. You can just go ahead and click on this. It's going to automatically go ahead and download it for you. So I'm going to download mine. Installation is very simple. It's just step by step. You can just follow through the process. It's very simple to install. You can just go ahead and install on your PC, and I will meet you at the other side where we can kickstart how using OpenShot Video Editor in full. Okay, so to open OpenShot, you can come down to the launch pad over here. You can see, you can just move around, or you can search for OpenShot. Okay, and you can see it over here, OpenShot Video Editor. You click on it and it's going to open the software for you. All right, so at the first time when you open the software, this is what you'll be welcomed with. Is a very easy and very simple software that you can see directly. So once you open it, this is what you will be welcomed with. Now, the first thing you need to notice is that at the top here, you have an untitled project. An untitled project, which means this project is not named, and the default is in high definition 720p and it's on 30 frame rate per second. Now, the first thing we need to do is to change the frame rate or the settings of this project. So to do that, you can come all the way over here to this creative profile. You can click on choose profile. And over here, you'll be able to define which profile you want to do. So you can see the default is HD 720 and 30 frame rate, but this is not what we want. So you can just go ahead and select which one you want. We can say we want full HD. That's the one I use. 30 frame rate per second, 1920 by 1080. That's the 16:9 settings that we are going to use. So we can click on OK, and you can see right now it's been adjusted to 1080p, 30 frame rate per second, and it's in full HD. Now the next thing is to create this project. We have to change this and give our project a name. Now to create a project, you can come still to the top, you can come to file and you can see save project. Okay, and then you can be able to save the project directly. So you can select on this and name your project to R, for example, my edits, and then you can define the location where you want to save it. So I want to save it in this folder at my desktop. You can just go ahead, my edits, and just click on save, and then I have my project saved. The next thing that you may want to understand is the view of the entire canvas, the view of the entire platform. Now, this is the default view, which is very okay. If you want to keep it at this, I'm going to explain to you what are the key features and general overview of the platform of OpenShot. But for this class, I'm just going to show you how to change the view. Also added to the fact that you created a project, let's learn how to change the view of the entire OpenShot software. So to change the view, you can still come to the top. You can see view here. You can come to the views, and you can see we have the simple view. This view as it is right now, it is a simple view. But if you want to go to the advanced view, you can just click on advanced view. And with just one click, you can see it has readjusted everything. And you can click, you can move, you can adjust the length and width of everything. And you can see right now, we're going to explain some of these features, what is where, and why is it here. You can see we have emojis and transitions and many more, and we have the timeline. So the first thing you need to understand is that once you open your OpenShot, you will have the view. In the previous class, you've seen we've changed the view to this look. Okay, you have the option to play around with the different features. You can extend and reduce this size. The first thing you see to the left is the properties panel. This is where you can see the properties of all of the features that you have in the timeline. Over here, you have the project files. You can import all your media. This is where you can dump them, and they may include videos, audios, and images accordingly. And you can filter them depending on what you are looking for. And over here, you can show transitions. These are different kind of transitions that you may have. You can add them during your editings. These are common transitions that you have used or that most people use. These are popular transitions. And down here, you have the option to check in the emojis. These are different types of emojis that you can use in your content. You can just drag and drop them, which we are going to cover in this tutorial. We're going to look at how to use some of them, and they are classified according to different types. So you can show all from here. These are all. Or if you have activities, you can show different type of activity related things like football or sports or related things. And you have extras. If you want to use extras, you can have different kind of shapes. If you have foods that you're interested in, you can see them. They are classified accordingly. Okay, you have symbols and so on. So depending on what you want to create, you can use any of the objects from here. So you can show all, which gives you the opportunity to have access to all of them, right? So over here to the right, you will be able to see the video preview area or the canvas. This is where you can preview all of the videos that you are editing in the timeline. Okay, so you'll be able to preview everything here. And down here, you have the playing features. You can fast forward or you can move backward one frame or move to the end. Okay, jump to the end or jump to the beginning using these features. And over here, you have this effects option. You have different kind of effects. You can see them, multiple of them. I'm going to show you how to use the different effects in your editing process. And they're classified as well. You can see video options. Okay, if you have different kind of things you want to deal with, for example, noise reduction, adding different kind of effects, distortion, display, or cropping, and so on. Compressor, adding different kind of effect that can affect your video or your audio. You'll be able to have them here. Coloration, we'll talk about all of these in detail. And then over here, you have the caption area. This is where you can manually insert captions into your footage. Okay, you can always press on this plus sign to be able to add in captions into your project. Now down here we have, you can always click to come back to the effects. And down here we have one of the most important sections in OpenShot, which is the timeline. When you import media, this is where you bring them and you can do all of your editings, adding different kind of features, effects. You do them here. They are classified according to tracks, both audio and video tracks. You'll be able to see them here. And this is the zoom tool. You can zoom in and out to be able to see the clips that you have in the timeline very, very clearly. Now up here, you have some very basic things like you can add a particular track. From here, you can see we have multiple tracks. You can click out to add different kind of features. You can add track above, track below. You can resume rename a particular track, and you can lock a track against any form of editing with this feature. And then you can remove a track if you are interested in removing a particular track. Now this is where you can add track manually on your own. You can add track as you so wish, and this is the snapping enabled. If you enable this, you enable the snapping. If you disable this, you disable the snapping. This is very useful during the editing as we start. I will be able to show you how to use them when we start. And this is a razor tool. It enables you to click and then you create a cut within your clip. Okay, just like in many other software, this is adding a marker. If you are interested in adding some details during your editing, you'll be able to add a marker, and you can always return back to that marker and see what you have you need to add, or what you have worked on, or some details about that editing that you're working on. Okay, the same way you can go to the previous key point or to the next key point, and then over here you can see this is center the timeline on the project. We're going to look at how to use it also during the editing. Now at the top here you have some very basic things, like you can always create a new project, you can open an existing project, or you can save a project using these three features. Okay, and you can undo, redo things, and you can always click on this to import media directly on your own. Okay, we're going to go into how to import media as well. You can choose profile. We've explained how to choose profile during the project editing, project setup in the last class. And then over here you have the full screen view. If you want to have full screen view of the software, you can always click on this, and then you can export your video using this feature. Now, one of the things I want to show you is that these features are movable, in that you can just simply drag and you can move them around. Okay, you can change their position, and you can just simply select on any, and you can move them to any point of your choosing. Okay, so you can just rearrange them if you want, and at any given point, if you decided that this is not the looks that you want to readjust them and bring them back to default, you can always come back to your view options over here, and you can come to views, and you can go to advanced view, and everything is going to go back to the default as you have had them before. And you can always click on this to always close, and click to bring them back. Okay, to always close the features as well. So this is just a bit about the general overview of the platform, and you can make them detachable just like this. You can be able to move them across very easily with this feature. You can detach them, and you can see you can move that particular section on your own, maybe change the position and so on. Now, to import a media, all you need is to start by coming over here to the project area. You can right click and you can see import file. And once you click on import file, you can navigate to wherever you have this document or those media files that you want to import. For example, in my own case, I have them here, videos, and we can just select all of them, and I can just click on open, and we can see I just imported my media. Okay, I can come to all. Because they are videos, you can see them classified as videos. When you come to audios, you will not see anything, and when you come to images, you will not be able to see anything as well. So I have imported video footage. We can always come here to adjust the view. Okay, so I have these videos imported, and if I want to import the audios, I can import them using the same process, coming here, right clicking and going to import. Alternatively, I can come to this plus sign at the top here, coming to click on it, and then you can come over to OpenShot Video. I have my audios attached over here. All right, so I have audios, and I can select them over here on the same method, and I can just import them. So when I go to audios, I'll be able to see the audios that I have imported. Alternatively, also, if you still want to go to the file, you can go to the folder containing that particular file. For example, in my own case, it is located here in this OpenShot. Let's say this time around I want to import my images, so I can go back and I can select my images. Sorry, let me close on this, and probably close on these two also. All right, so if I'm on this file and I want to import my images, I can come to the images over here, or on my own I can just easily drag the images file and just drop it here, and it's going to import all of the images into this this timeline. So let's go to the images. I'll be able to see them imported. All right, so you can see these are the images. They've been imported, and if you want to see the classification, you can see them. These are images, these are audios, and these are videos. and at any given point you can always come to the all, so you'll be able to see all of the footage that I have imported into this very software. Now the next thing that I want to show you is how to import the footage from the project files area or the project bin or the media bin into the timeline. And to do that, you have very simple method. You can just drag and drop it. Okay, you can just select, drag and drop it into the timeline just like so. And you can see once you drag and drop a footage, you'll be able to see a preview of it into the video preview canvas over here. All right, so you can drag as many things as you want. You can drag this one also and drop it, and you can drag this one also and drop it into the timeline. All right, and you're free to move them across as you so wish. You can move them, and you can select multiple, and you can move them at the same time, so you have them connected. All right, so you can move them at the same time. All right, so you can see because I've enabled the snapping tool over here, that's why I'm able to know exactly and precisely where to release when I'm trying to connect the points. All right, so this, you can bring them into the timeline, and you are, like I've explained earlier on, you can use this zoom feature to be able to zoom and see clearly what you have in the timeline. For example, in this case, we can see you can use your playhead to navigate across and be able to see a preview of what you are working on at the moment. You'll be able to see a preview of the video as you move as you move across with the playhead, and you can always use the play feature to play. All right, so down here, if you can use this zoom feature to zoom in and out of the timeline, so you'll be able to see the details of what you have in the timeline using this feature. Okay, so you can always zoom in and out, and if you want to see the key details in any clip that you have, you can always zoom in and you'll be able to see it clearly. This is very important during the editing if you want to make some cuts or thereabout. So you can bring in different media. You can always drag, be it a video footage, be it an audio footage. You can always drag and drop them into the timeline just like so. You can just drag and drop, and you can adjust the properties over here. Now one thing I want to show you is that once you touch any of the clip, okay, you select any of the clips, you'll be able to see all of the properties that you can change during your editings of that particular clip that you've touched. If it is an audio clip, you'll be able to see all the audio properties like the volume and so on. You can change virtually anything from here, okay, using this feature. And if it is a video, also the same way, you will have the access to all of the features that you can change in the properties panel over here. So you're going to understand and experience all of this and how we can use them during the editing process as we proceed in this tutorial. Now to start with, you can import your media into the timeline. Maybe these clips, I've imported these clips into my timeline. As you can see, we can play them by just hitting on the plus sign. And we can move the playhead across, okay, to any point. Now the first thing that we need to do when you are editing clips in OpenShot, if you want to have the best experience, it's better you enable the waveform. Okay, so you can enable waveform by right clicking on any of the clips and come to display and click on show waveform, and it's going to show the waveform on all the clips that you have within this particular track or the timeline. Now showing waveform is very important because you will know exactly at what point you need to make a cut and at what point you need to make another cut. Okay, so you know where you are making your mistakes, or you know where you are talking, and you can cut with precision in those points. So assuming at this point, I want to use some section of this drone footage. Okay, I want to use from this point to the right here, but I don't want to use this point from the left. So the first thing you need to do is to trim from the left to this playhead. So you can do that by just hovering over the clip until your cursor turns into this double sign. You can just click and drag and hold, and then you can drag up to the red sign, which means you have trimmed this section. Okay, so you can see that this section is now blank because you've trimmed that entire section. So if you want to, you can on your own manually highlight the other clips and you can drag them to the end. Okay, because I just want to use this section from here to this point. Now assuming also in this clip, I don't want to use from this point to the end. You can do the same thing that we've done at the beginning by just hovering over to the end until your cursor turns into this double arrow sign, and you can just click and you can move directly to this point. Okay, now you have trimmed that section. Now one thing with trimming is that it is reversible. I always like to trim because it is reversible. Anytime you can reverse that action that you've done by just coming over to that same location. You can click and you can extend that clip to the end of it, just like I've done in this one. Now usually there are two ways in which you can trim or you can remove a section of a clip. So the first one is the trimming. The second one is you can create a split at this playhead point. I can do that by hitting on the letter S on my keyboard, and you can see right now it has split the clip into two. This is clip 1, this is clip 2, and now I can select this section that I don't want. I can hit on delete or function delete if you are on Mac to delete that section, and you can see we have just done the same action that we were doing at the beginning. Okay, so this is another way. Maybe another way that you can also remove sections of a clip is by using the razor blade tool. Okay, so you can click on this scissors tool to enable the blade tool, and if you want, you can just select. As you hover over any section, you can see you can just click, and with just this click you can see it has sliced the clips into two. Okay, and maybe I don't want this section as well. You can just select, and if you want, you can go back, click again on the razor blade tool, so you are now back with your selection tool, and you can select any section that you don't want, and you can press on the function delete to remove that section. Now you can select the other part and just drag to connect it with the other one. It is easier to connect with this blue line because you have the snapping tool enabled. If you don't have it enabled, it becomes very difficult. Okay, so you can see we now connect our clips together. Okay, so you can go ahead and use the razor tool to cut as many places as you want to have your clips selected and to have the sections that you want in your clip. So let's say we try to add this one as well into the timeline. All right, and let's say we right click also and display the waveform so we can be able to see. So assuming I don't want to have these beginnings, there's another way to do the editing. There's what we call the ripple edit or ripple edit. So to do the ripple edit, you can always right click on a particular clip. Assuming I don't want this section from here up to this playhead on this particular clip. I don't want this section from the beginning to this point. I want it removed. So I can right click on my clip, and I can just come to slice, and then you can do keep right side. So keep right side will keep anything from this playhead to the right. And if I do keep left side, and it is going to keep only the left side and cut anything outside. So I want to keep the right side, so I can just come to slides and just keep right side, and it remove that section from the beginning up to this playhead. Okay, so on my own manually I can select and now move this to the beginning and then connect on my own. You can do the same if you don't want a section of the right side. So you can just come over here, you can zoom out so you see everything. Okay, assuming I want a portion of this clip up to this point, I don't want anything from the right, I can just right click on the clip and come to slice, and I can just say keep left. So when I hit keep left, it's going to remove everything from the left and just keep from the right and just keep the left side for me. It's very easy to understand, and you can do that across all your clips. You can just go ahead and edit them accordingly. And one thing I like also is you're free to move the sections of the clip accordingly. You can interchange them and move them to different sections. Okay, you can move them across if you want. You can just select and drag and move them across, and you can select everything and then reposition them to start from the beginning. It's very easy to do all of this. And another way that I also like editing with clip or OpenShot is that when you select any section of the clips, so for example, if I select this drone, I can just select on it. I can have all of these control features to deal with at this side. You can scale to fit, or you can increase the scaling on the X, Y, and Z direction. Okay, as you so wish, and you can play around with the volume of the background noise. Okay, that you have, you can control it from here. And if you want to increase anything, you can scale on X or on Y axis. All right, you can scale on Y or on Z, or you can share on X and Y and so on. So you're free to kind of scale it accordingly, but on your own also you can come manually and select and drag the sections so that you can have it extended or thereabout. Okay, so you can see we can just play around with all of these. So this is another way to edit your footage within the OpenShot. You can select on any of the clips and you have its properties from here, and you can just go ahead. You can alter the location and X, Y, and Z direction, and then you can change the origin also, and then the position. So you can change all of these in just seconds. So to add a B-roll, you can just go ahead and import that particular media that you want to add. In my own case, I can just go ahead, right click and come to the videos, OpenShot, and I can come all the way down to videos. All right, so I can see videos and I want to import these three. You can just select all of them. Let's say this last three. Okay, you can select, hold down the shift key and import all of them into the media bin. So I've just imported them. So if I want to import them into the timeline and add them as my B-roll, I want them to be in this clip track 5. I can just go ahead and select, okay, probably this one. I can just drag and drop it into this timeline. Okay, so I can just define the exact point that I want it to show. For example, I want it to show here up to this point. So I can come to the edge again. I can drag to trim up to the playhead. Okay, so it just signifies the points that I want to show these tourists. So assuming I can show the view of this sea up to this point, and then we can see the video of the tourist coming up. Okay, you can see it doesn't fill the entire screen, so I can extend it manually on my own by coming over here, dragging and extending, and you can see it is scaling it in X and Y direction. Or on my own, I can undo this and I can come to the scaling also. Of course, from here I can just extend. I can just scale it to fill up the entire canvas. So I can just go ahead. Let's have a preview again, and you can see, so we have this plane at the background, and then it goes back to the same sea. Okay, so that's B-roll for you. You can add as many. Let's say I have another B-roll over here. I want to add this one. I can just drag and drop it here. And let's say I can extend, I can trim from the edge up to this point. All right, so this means if I'm playing from here, from this girl, I can just navigate quickly to these cable car guys. Okay, so usually what I do, if you have some audio also in the B-roll, and in order for you to avoid or to stop interruption with the main footage audio, you can just select that particular clip and you come to the properties over here. You can come down and you can see volume. Okay, this is at full level. You can bring it down to 0. Okay, you can just drag until it is 0. So you have now zeroed the volume in this, and you can do the same also on this one. You can select and you can come down to volume and you can zero the volume. So in that case, you won't have any volume associated with these B-rolls. Okay, so this is how to add videos as B-rolls. You can add images also in the same way. So you can just drag and drop into the timeline. For example, I can drag and drop this one, and I can just define how far I want it to cover. So I can just move here. For example, I want it to play around here, and you can see, so I just want it to play here. I can play. All right, this one also you can select on your own manually and you can scale it. Yeah, so you can see we've scaled it. Okay, so up to this point, I think I like it like this. All right, so you get the message. This is basically how to add in B-rolls into the timeline, and you can just play around with them and you can move them to whichever position you want to move them. Okay. All you need is to come to the top here to titles over here, and you can see we have titles, which is the basic title. And if you want to have animated title, then you have to connect it with this software. Okay, so I think this is a bit of an advanced tutorial for this class. So you have to connect it with Blender. This is connected to Blender, another software completely different. And I think this is a bit of an advanced tutorial. So we can go ahead and use the basic title. Okay, this is a simple title. You can click on this and you're brought into this very platform. So over here you have so many templates that you can just select and just go ahead and create your title from. So let's say we go with this basic one, which is part 3, or you can go with camera border. But I think we can start with the basic one. This is the title. So you can name the file. Usually by default, you have to give the file a name. So let's call this lower third, for example, and then you can come here and put in the level. What do you want it to carry? So let's say I put in my name. So this is Dr. Rashid, for example, speaking. It could be below where I'm speaking, or it could be something that could introduce me to the person, or you can name it anything. For example, I can make it welcome to my channel, for example, at the beginning. So over here you have the text font. You can click to change the font style. You have them different types. You can have the font family. You can have all fonts here, and you can check or Arial black as you so wish. I can go with anyone, a bit depending on your brand. If you have a specific, you can just go ahead. I can have this Avenir medium, and then we can go with the size of about 124. And once you're done, you can say okay to this, and you have your text like this. Okay, so you can see the sizing. If it is okay, fine. If it is not okay, you can always come back and change the sizing accordingly. Now you can change the text color from here. Yellow is good, but looking at the background on where we want to put it, it might not be the best for now. You can select any color of your choice, but then I want to go with pure white for this case, and you have the option. If you have the color code also, you can put. If you have a custom color, you can pick a screen color depending on what you want to create. So you can go ahead and say okay to this, and I have added this text color to be white. If you are interested, you can add background color. I want to make it transparent because that's the default, but if you have a specific color or a specific brand, you can just go ahead and select it and say okay to it, and it's going to add that background to it. At this moment, I don't want to have any background. Now you have other advanced editor, which requires you to use a software called Inkscape. Even though this software is also a free to use open source software, Inkscape. If you're interested, you can go ahead and install it, and then you can use some of the advanced editing features that it has. Okay, but at this moment for this tutorial, there's no need. You can use the basic ones, except if you want to have more, I can recommend you to use other platforms like Placeit. You can get quite a number of titles that you can just import and use in the platform as well. So for this one, for this tutorial, let's go with this basic, and we can just go ahead and say save to this, and it is going to add this to the media bin. Okay, this is it. So lower third, this is the lower third that we just created. So if you want to put it in the timeline or reflect it in the video, you can just drag and drop it very easily. So you define how long you want it to stay in the timeline. So you can come to the edge and just select and kind of trim it to define the exact location or define the exact length that you want it to stay. So you can drag and drop this here. So you can see right now we have this, welcome to my channel, and you can just play to have a preview of it. Could be welcome to my channel, or if you want, you can select and move it. You can select it and you can move it to probably to the center. Okay, I think this is okay to the center. I think it's good. All right, so welcome to my channel. So this is the most very basic one. If you want to, you can as well edit this particular one that you have worked on. You can always come back to the lower third. You can right click and you can say edit title. Okay, you can just go ahead and edit it. You can change the content, you can change the font and text color and so on. You can change all of these with just simple clicks. And if you want to, okay, you can view the details. You can duplicate this particular title and you can preview the file also if you are interested. Okay, now this is the most basic title that we've just added. If you want to add from the other presets also, a bit of a difficult or a bit of a complex preset, you can add. For example, you can add a thank you for watching text at the end of this clip. So we can just still come back to title, go to title again, and we can use this one. For example, this, I want to use something like this as a thank you message, or if you want to have something like this, you can also equally have it, but I think I prefer something like this. So I can select it, and what I want is, this is just I can put it as thank you message. So let's say thank you for watching. All right, so let's say thank you over here. Let's cut this and then we put this for watching. All right, So you can see, thank you for watching, and you can play around with the text editing text features, also the fonts, like we said. You can also play around with it. So let's say we'll go with something like this. Change the color. I think the color is good, but if you want to make it more pop out, you can go with something like this. And I think this is okay. This is cool. So you can just go ahead and add in background if you want. But at this moment, I can just go ahead and say save to this. And all it takes is for me to drag and drop it at the end of my clips. And I have this as my thank you message for all my viewers. All right, so I think you get the message. We can just try to extend it to trim it a bit so we don't have it too long. All right, so this is very basic. If you want to add in the animated titles, then you can install Inkscape and then play around with it. Now the first thing we need to do is to start by coming to transition over here, and we can see series of transition from simple ones where we can see circle into out, fade, simple fades, white bottom to top, white left to right, and thereabout. You can see some complex ones down here. If you move down, you can see quite a number of complex transitions that are inbuilt within OpenShot. But for this tutorial, and to keep it simple, which I always advise for any editor, try to keep things as simple as you can. We can use simple transitions like a fade. Okay, we can just drag and drop any transition directly. Let's start adding on something like this text. Let's add it on this text, and when you bring it in, you can see it's this long, so you can come over to the edge until your cursor turns into this horizontal sign. You can just click and drag, and now you can see we are resizing it to something simple. Now whenever you select a transition, you will be able to see its properties over here. Okay, and then you can see what kind of transition is it. This one is a fade, and you can be able to adjust the brightness and contrast over here, and the duration as well, how much of the transition. You can control the length from here. For example, you can click to extend or reduce the length directly, just like so. So I think 1.5 is quite good, so you can select and drag it to the end of this. So when we try to play this, you'll see it's going to fade in just like that, and when you go out, you can have it at the end of it all. Welcome to my channel, and then it can fade out. This fade in, you can have fade out. Another thing that you can do, you can copy this. You can right click and say copy transition, and then you can right click over here and paste. Now you can select and move it to this point. So you can see right now we have fade out. So when we come from here, it can easily fade out just like that. So it's very, very easy and nice. Now that's how to transit in between text. Like you've seen, we've just added it professionally in between the text. Whenever you select a transition, you can play around with the position also as well from here. Okay, you can click to move around accordingly within your tracks. Now let's try to add another transition in between two clips. For example, we have between these two clips, this one and this one. Okay, as we move from this to this, let's try to see if we can add another simple transition. Let's go with this white bottom to top. You can just select, drag and drop it again, and we can come to the edge. We can click and make it smaller. I'm proud to see how we can centralize accordingly. In each case, you can always come over to the slider and just slide to extend the length or to zoom in to have a clear view of what you are working on. Okay, so you can just extend this a little bit, and then we can just go ahead and play this. Yeah, I think that's perfect. In each case, if you may want to reverse the effect, for example, in this case that you have fade out, you can reverse the effect. If you have it in fade in and want it to have fade out, you can reverse the transition, and it's just going to have in the fade out effect. Okay, so you can see we can add as many transitions as we can within our clips. We can add here as well. You can see wipe left to right. You can just select and paste, and you can just the length also. Okay, and you can select and move it to wherever you want to put it, and then you can play. Yeah, so something like that. So it's very easy to kind of add transitions, and you can walk around within the clips as you so wish. Let's try to extend this, and let me show you a bit of what I do when I'm trying to add transition in between clips or video clips of me tutorial or talking about something. So let me start by adding in a very simple clip that I know might be a bit useful. So let's go to videos here. Okay, videos here. I have this simple video clip that we used to demonstrate. I can drag and drop it here, for example. Then I can position my clip. Let me see. So let me create a cut here. Okay, because I just need a section of it. I'm back and just right click and say remove this clip. All right, so what I need is just this section, and we can see that if I'm to put in a transition in between, for example, between this clip divide by 2, so let me just click and create another cut here and back to the selection. And what I do is when I want to transit in between these two clips, and then I can come over here and I can just scale it up a little bit. So for example, I can select and scale it up a bit. The only thing that you just have to make sure that your position of your eyes is somewhere located near that of the previous clip, so it becomes very easy. So you can see it just looks like an intentional moving, while it is just the same thing. It just looks like another angle of the camera that is giving you, while it's a transition sort of, because within a particular clip I don't like to put in transition. I can only zoom in and zoom out when I'm going back to the next clip, so I can just zoom out, so it just pops in and pops out. It kind of makes it look much more professional. So that's about transitions. We can equally work on effects. Effects, you can find them from this left side. Okay, you can see different kind of effects depending on what you are working on. You can find color saturation, captions if you want to add captions, blur effect. If, for example, you want to add in blur effect, you can just come to the area where you want to blur. And for instance, I want to blur the sea, the whole of it. You can just select the blur nature and just drag and drop. And this is the effect now that you've added this blur. So you can just click on it and it's just going to appear on the properties. And you have the option to play around with the properties. The horizontal radius, you can play around with it. You can the iterations history, you can the sigma history, the vertical radius, you can just play around with them and see what happens to your blurry nature. You can see it just changes. So you can play around with the properties over here. The iterations, you can see, can increase or decrease accordingly. So it's all boils down to you how much of the blurry nature you want to add. You can see it's now blurred, and you can remove or reduce accordingly. And whenever you want to remove an effect, you can just come over, click on the effect. You can right click on the effect and say remove this effect, and it's just going to remove it from that clip. So it all boils down to you. Sometimes you may have compressor if you're dealing with sound. Sometimes you have noise removal or echo or delay or hue and saturation. You even have stabilizer in cases when you have issues with the stabilizer in the camera. And sometimes you have EQ, okay, parametric equalizer. And sometimes you may need this noise removal. I kind of like it because it gives you the opportunity. So once you select and put in the effect, you can click on the end sign and you can manage the level of the noise removal from here as well. So you can vary the intensity, whether high or low, can increase or decrease it. So depending, as you are reducing or increasing, you are now playing and hearing the preview of it. Okay, so this you can just go ahead, experiment, explore with any kind of effect. You have crop effect if you want to crop any section of the video and so on. So it all boils down to you. Please go ahead and experiment with the effects and transitions on your own video. So to add background music, as usual, you have to come to the media bin over here. You can check in the audio section. If you don't have any, you can right click and say import media, and you can navigate to wherever you have that audio in your system. For example, in my own case, I have it here. I have these three. I can just select on them. Let's say I have this one, this particular one that I like, and I can just click on it and you can see it's been imported. Now to insert a background music in this, you can as well directly insert it if you have an empty track over here. If you don't have, you can come to this small arrow and click on this and you can see add track above or add track below or rename a track or like a track. You have these features that we've just discussed at the beginning of this tutorial. But let's say I have this track, so no need for me to add. So you can just go over to the top and just drag and drop these. So this is now my background music. And if you cannot see the waveform, you can just right click on it, come to display and say show waveform, and it's going to show you the waveform of that particular audio that you've just added. Okay, so right now you can see it's very clear. Now this is how to add in audio, background music in your video. You have all of the control effects that you have to add and to do basic editings on the video clips. You can equally do that on the audio clips. For example, you can create a cut at any given point. For example, at this point, I may want to just create a cut. So you can just move to that point and I can select the clip and come over here and select my scissors, and then I can come and create a cut here and create another one here, probably at any given point. So I can go back, select the section that we want to delete, right click and say remove clip, and you can see it just removes the clip. Alternatively, you can do the same on this as well, right click and remove the clip, and you can see we've removed this section of the clip. Now alternatively, if you want to remove those sections without using the ruler like we've discussed earlier, you can come to the edge of it until your cursor turns into this horizontal sign. You can click and drag and you move to the end just like so, and you see you've trimmed this to the end. Now one of the advantages I like about this is trimming is very good because it is extendable. If you have any issue with that particular track, you can extend it back to where it was before. Okay, so let's select this, assuming we trim to this point. If you later change your mind, you can always select and trim back to as many lengths as you prefer. Okay, so it's extendable, so that's why I always prefer to trim. Okay, so you can trim to the edge. So that's how to add in. So another thing that we want to learn is about controlling the volume levels. Okay, controlling volume levels could be something very simple that you can do. You can just select, let's select in this initial part and remove the clip, so we have only this section. Now you can control the volume levels by selecting the particular clip, the audio clip, and then you can come to the properties of the clip over here, and you can see down here you have volume. Now over here the volume is 1.0, which means this is the highest volume as at the time when you import that media into the media. So this 100%, you can select and drag, and you can see right now you're going to reducing. Only that unfortunately it is adding a keyframe to this. Okay, which means at this point it is 26%, which means if you go back here it is 100% or nearly 0.89 or 89%, and then it reduces down to this point when it is 0.6%. And I don't want it to have this keyframe thing, so I can just right click here and say remove keyframe, and now everything is back to normal. Now if I like, I can come over to the beginning of this. I can still select the clip and then come over here and make this probably to maybe 10%, because for good background music it has to be between 20 to 30% in terms of the volume. So I think this is okay. Now here, if you notice that I have this audio, and if you want to add anything, for example, you may want to control the volume level of this, you may want to mute this, and then until you are done with this, then you can go back and continue. So you have an audio that is audible and a background music that doesn't interfere much with the audio. So in most cases, what I do when I have a video that has an audio in the background, so I think this is okay. But then whenever I want to edit the volume level of a particular video that I'm connected, I do sometimes right click and come to separate audio from video, and I can do that in single clip, or you can do multiple clips. Well, I do that on single clip. So with just selection of single clip, you will notice that my audio has been separated from the video. Okay, but in this case, this audio now overlapped with this one, so I can undo this. Okay, so if I want to separate the audio and the video, I have to add another track. So I can select this, add another track below. So see, I have another track, and come over here, right click and say separate audio. And now you can see we have this audio separate with its waveform. So you can select on this and still play around with the volume level as well from here. Okay, so you add other effects like compressor, you can drag and drop, or you can add distortion, or you can deal with echo. Can just drag and drop in case if you have an echo in your audio. You can select on this E sign and you have the properties over here, and you can play around with the features. And at the same time, if you want to remove, you can always remove. So this is what to do when you are trying to add in background music and maybe control volume levels within your audio in your video clips. Now to add colors, this is a video property, so you can come over here to the effects, and you can see this is all effects. If you want to see video specific effect, you can just click on video, and you can be able to see different kind of effect that you can add as regards your video. So you can see a hue here, you can see brightness and saturation, and brightness and contrast. You can see a hue here, you can see color saturation over here. So in whichever case, you can just drag and drop the effect. For example, let's start with this brightness. You can drag and drop the brightness over here. Let's try to extend this slider so we'll be able to see what we are doing clearly. Right, so you can see right now, we can click on this D to enable the properties of the effect that we've just added, like we've shown earlier on. Now over here, you can adjust the brightness and the contrast also from here. So you can click and drag, and you can see right now you're reducing the effect. If you keep going down, the brightness keep going down. If you go up a little bit, you can see it can be too much. You can just go anywhere in between 0.9 to 1. Okay, so 0.09 to 0.11 over here. So I think this is okay, or you can see as far as 0.04, or you can put in the number if you know directly. And then the contrast is something that you don't want to mess around with. 3.0 is okay. If you keep going down, you see the effect on your video clip. Okay, so you can kind of extend this. Let's take it a bit higher. I think 8 is quite much. So don't make it too much. So I think 2.8 is good. Okay, on our video. So you can be able to see the before and after. Probably this is the before, and this is the after, the little touch that we've just given. Okay, so if you want to add the same effects to the remaining section of this clip, you can just come over here, click on this small arrow. Okay, so you can come over here to copy, and you can say copy effect if you want to copy this effect. But another thing that we can add to this is we can add this hue. Okay, so you can just drag and drop this, and we can click on the edge to have access to the hue properties. You can increase that a little bit, so to make it pop a little bit, so you have that unique color added to our video. So you can see a little bit of a difference added and some vibrance added to the video. It's now much better. Now another effect also that I always like to add is the color saturation. So you can just click and drag, paste it. You can hit on the letter S as well, and you can play around with the coloration from here. You can increase the saturation blue, green, and red. You can play around with the blue, green, and red colors individually, or you can do them as a whole directly using this. So let's say we kind of use this, and you can just increase the saturation a little bit, so we have some vibrance in the coloration of the video. Okay, so I think this is okay. Now we've added a number of effects on this, and if you want to add the same effect to the rest of the clip that you have, you can come all the way to this, and you can see this small arrow. You can click on it. You can go to copy. You can see copy effects, and then you can select the number of clips that you have, no matter how many of them, and just right click, and then you can say paste. You can paste the effects. Okay, you can just paste. And all of those effects that you've added in this same clip will be also equally transferred to the next or the rest of the clips. Okay, so you can see, you can click, and you'll be able to see that the image also had been adjusted to take in the effect of the other clips. Okay, so you can just go ahead and check around and check the other coloration effects or other video color effects, like the blur effect that we've talked about, or the chroma key in cases if you have used the green screen, you want to remove the background, you can use this. And then you can add in different kind of things that you think can be very, very useful to your video. But in OpenShot, color correction and color grading is one area that they are not so fully good at, but I think they have quite enough of the features or of the effects to enable you to do very basic color grading and color corrections. So to start, let's start by creating a fresh project by coming to File over here and say New Project, and you can save this. Okay, it's okay to save what is in existence. We can say Trial 3. For example, this is a new project that we've just created. And right now we can save the project, this new project. You can save project as, go to the location, give the project a name. So let's say sample editing. You can come here and click on save. Right now we have a project saved. Now to start importing media, like we learned earlier, you can right click over here, or we can come over to this plus sign. You can navigate to wherever we have our media. For example, in our own case, we have here. So let's kind of select on this and we can import. If you have multiple, you can hit on this shift key to select multiple and we can import our media directly. So if you go to the video, you'll be able to see the media that we just imported. These are the videos that we've imported. If you want to add images as well, you can still right click over here and come over to this file. All right, so let's say we have our images here, and we can just select on any that we want to import and just select import, and we have our images imported. Okay, so if you want to confirm that, you can come to image as well, and then let's say we have the audio that we want to import. Okay, alternatively we can come over here, go to the images that we want to import. So audio this time around, and click on audio, and then we can drag and drop into the media bin just like that. So we can see the audio here that we just imported. Now the next thing is we can try to bring in our media. We can go to all, we can try to bring them one by one. So we can just do that by just dragging and dropping, something like this. So this is video, and we have this video as well. We can just drag and drop it here, and then we have this image. We can drag and drop it here. We can have it on a different timeline, and then we have the background music. But then let's do some very basic editing. For example, in this clip, we don't want it to be this long, so we can select over here, come to the edge, and drag to trim up to this point, for example. And this one also, we may not want it to be this long, so we can come over here, select on the scissor sign, create a cut here. Then we can get back to the scissor sign. We can select on this, right click and say remove clip, and we can move these as well if you want, and we can extend this to however we want it in terms of the length. But then when you notice the image, it does not fill up the screen completely. So if you like, you can go ahead and extend it by selecting the image. You can come over to the edges and just drag until it fills up the screen directly. Okay, and I think this is okay in terms of what I want. Now, and this is basic editing. You can see we've just done some very basic editings. We can import other media as well. For example, I have that small video that I want to add. I can just select, come over to this, come to videos, and I can check this book that changed my life. I can see if just added, you can just drag and drop it here as well. All right, so let's come over to this point, create a cut from here. So you can select, create a cut. All right, and then we can go back, right click over here and remove this section of the clip. All right. Okay, so we've added everything. So the next thing is, let's try to add in some background music. So we can do that by dragging and dropping our background music from here. I'll drag and drop it. Again, we can use a slider to be able to see everything. Okay, so we can drag and trim the background music also to the beginning. Okay, on your own, you can come back manually to extend so you can be able to see everything. Okay, so this image, we can decide to add it in. We have our background music. We may decide to show the waveform by just right clicking and come to display and show waveform. You can see we've seen our waveform, and again in this case we have to reduce the volume to maybe 20%. So let's drag this, selecting the clip, and come down to, let's say, 20%. Okay, so this 20%, and it's good. So but we have this problem of the keyframe, so we right click and remove keyframe. Okay, so right now we got it to 20%. Let's select on this and take it up a little bit. Okay, so the next thing, let's try to add in some text. So we can come over to the titles over here, come to title, and we can select a given text. Let's say we'll go something simple, and let's write something like epic mentorship. You can come down here and write glaring your ideas. You can change the text font, the color, and the background as well, and other advanced editing features that we've just discussed in the previous class. We can just go ahead and save this. So the next thing is, let's try to select everything, all of the clips in our timeline, and we can move this a little bit, and we can drag and drop this our text. Okay, can adjust it to fit in the place we want it to fit there. I think this is okay for an intro. Okay, I think this is okay. So the next thing is, we want to add in some transitions. So how do we add transition? We can come to transitions over here, and we can select basic transitions. Let's do white and drag and drop. Let's start with the text, come to the edge, drag, and just drag and drop it to the beginning. We can copy and paste, copy the transition and paste it, and we can put it to the end. We can right click and say reverse transition, so we have a fade in and fade out. Okay, so we can have something like a fade in. Okay, so we can try to see the transitions that we've just added on the text. Okay, so we can try to add in transitions on the other connecting clips. So for example, you can add this swipe left, or let's add this fade in, okay, like this, and we can equally adjust, and then we can position it wherever we want. Okay, so we can copy this and paste somewhere, and you can paste again, so we can just easily move them in between. All right, so the next thing is, we can try to see how we can add some colorations to these clips. If you want to add any color, you can just move in. For example, let's say we add some color to this my clip. Again, and select, and we can come to the effects over here. You can stay at the video effect. The one that I usually use is brightness, like I said earlier on. Select, and you can click, come to the brightness. You can shift it a little bit here. Okay, a bit is okay, and the contrast also is okay. So you can add some hue to this. You can click, and you can play around with this a little bit. All right, and then sometimes you can have some color saturations as well. So you can click on the letter S, and you can do combined color saturation. Okay, so let's add a little bit of the color to give you some vibrance. Okay, so this is about color saturation, and you can see right now we've just added some very basic things to the clips. Now once you're done, you started with your intro and you have an outro. Okay, so let's say we can add an outro to this, something like thanks for watching. You can come to the title bar, click, and let's put in something simple. Let's put something like thanks for watching, and over here we can put something like remember to subscribe. Okay, I think this is okay, and you can click on save, and then we can drag and drop it into the timeline. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. So we can add in only need the effect, copy the transition, and we paste in here. We can just add in here. You can paste another one, and then just phase out. Okay, so we're done with everything. Now to export a video within OpenShot, all you need is just to come to this red button and just click on this. This is export video. You can just click on it, And then you have the option to give the video a name, which is what we have given at the beginning of this tutorial, that we've created a project. We call this sample editing. So this is the name it has kept. Now we can define the folder path where you want to save this video. So by default, it is going to save it in desktop in this folder again that we've defined. Now you have all of these simple features. The simple could do for you, but if you have other formats that you want to check, you can check out the other formats as well. But I think I select all formats, and MP4, which is H.264, is best quality that we can have at the moment. So you can just go ahead. If you have other qualities that you are targeting, you can just click on this and just select accordingly if you have specific qualities that you are targeting. But simple will do quite a number of things for you. Now the resolution of the video, you can change it. At the moment it is HD 720p 30 frames per second, 1920 by 720, but if you like you can change it to 1920 by 1080 like we mostly do. Okay, so you can just go ahead and select. Okay, you can select accordingly from anyone, but I think I'm okay with this. And the only thing that you can change at the moment, sometimes which I advise to change, is the quality. You can go from low, medium and high if you're interested to change accordingly, but keep everything at default. And if you want to have further setup or settings as well, you can come to advanced and you have the option to export video and audio. Or if you want to export audio only or video only, you can specify accordingly from here. Start from this frame and end in the last frame, or you have other settings or other features you can go ahead and explore and change accordingly, like the formats of the codec, the video formats, the bitrate. You can change all of these from here. And audio settings, you have a bunch of controls if you want to try the advanced features. But for me, I always keep it simple and I always stay at the simple settings. So you can just go ahead. Once you are setting with everything, you can just go ahead and click on export and your video is going to start rendering and exporting. Very easy and nice. So you just give some seconds to finish exporting and you can try to play with what we have at the end of it all. Okay, so like you can see right now it has finished. You can just go ahead and see done and our video is exported directly. So you can go back to the folder where we specified and we're able to see our export over here, sample editing. Okay, so you can see the fade in, the fade out into the main, the fade out into the main video.
So I always receive from my students. What is the one book that you started reading?